Welcome back. Our next matchup here in Berlin is between Vitality and the Unicorns of Love, where the winner will be one step closer to sole control of first place. UOL yesterday, they booked a win. They came into the week playing Giants, but it wasn't the Unicorns of Love that we've seen in the first 5 weeks. Very passive. Yeah, and it's something I feel like Unicorns have been doing more and more. You know, passive early games. Sometimes Rudy has also been caught out and dying a few times against like Yankers, if you remember, like 2 weeks ago. Overall, I think the early game has gotten a bit weaker for them, and we saw that yesterday when they had to honestly push the advantage against late game comp from Giants. They were just sitting around and playing super scared.
Yeah, you hit it really hard in the game that UOL didn't play around their very strong duo lane. The fact that Steelback and Hilly had the opportunity to push, they decided to freeze the lane, which is something actually we're not seeing really anybody do.
Shouldn't do it
these days. Disappointed Dad Deficio hates it.
There it is again.
And, you know, somebody that the two of us were both very happy with as the game progresses, Vizichachi, he really had great engages on that Poppy. Despite the fact it took 20, 25 minutes for him to find those opportunities, every single time he teleported in, I felt like Chachi found either Pepe or Adri and pinned them against the wall. It was very impressive play. Definitely was, and when we were looking at UOL coming into the week, you know, they are in the top half of the table, near that top one, but what is so good about them, they have the longest average game time, so it's not there. They die a lot, so it's not there, but it's those individual players and sometimes those great things that come out. I really like that point, because I think the game yesterday was won due to individual better players than Giants. Because we talk about Steelback so often, stepping on being a fantastic carry for this team now. He went 11-0. And when you had some of these messy games coming into late game, you need these players to step up, and he did. Specifically, Hillesang had some great hooks, and I feel like it wasn't Unicorns as a team winning. It was more individually, every player just did extremely well, and that's why they could take the late game fights. This time around, Sencox also said that he thought Steelback is the shining light on the side of the Unicorns of Love. In this one, though, they're going up against Vitality. Yesterday, Vitality played H2K in what was the longest game we've seen so far, but also, in our opinion, the highest level of League of Legends we've seen in the ULCS so far. It was just exciting to see two teams that know how to use their team composition, did not make a huge amount of mistakes, and maybe they played a little passive for some people's taste, but you cannot discard the fact that both teams played very, very well. I love the honesty from Kissing in the post-game interview, where it was like, we actually didn't know about the interaction with Thresh Lantern. We had this zillion bomb off the Bard ultimate. I love the fact that they, first of all, put together this team comp. They practiced it. They came onto the stage to pick up a win against H2K, which they still got. And they did it through adversity and like not knowing a weakness in their own comp. It says a lot about the mentality and the approach of Vitality, a team who were a little tilty when the players played on previous teams. But now it's a team who's just been getting better and better. And like the last 2 weeks, it's been the best League of Legends we've seen from this team. It's somewhat what we expected and hoped for when the season started, and we saw these players being put together in the same lineup. And that's what we're seeing now. Great macro play, good individual players, Cabochard carrying in the top lane. I like the Zillion Bard comp they run. Shans is not afraid in the pick and ban phase of pulling out new stuff, and that makes them very exciting to watch. Yesterday, UOL won their game because they had better individual players. That is not a true statement in this game. And I think Vitality have equal, if not better, success, or largely better, macro and strategy game. So this is going to be a tough game for UOL. Yeah, I know you have loved the play of the Unicorn so far, so I know the players are ready, but do you think they can win this one? Yes, they can win, but I think Vitality will be the favorites because they're playing so well at the moment. Oh, so diplomatic. Well, the stage is set, so let's head inside and get into the game.
Thank you, Sharks. And as we load into picks and bans, let's take a look at the team. So, on the blue side, for Vitality, we have in the top lane, Cabochard, in the jungle, Shook, mid lane, Nuke Duck, AD carry, Hyanin, with support Kasing and coach Shawns.
And the team on the other side, the always fan favorites by the feel of it, is the red side. It's the Unicorns of Love. It is in the top lane, Vizichachi. Jungle, hi, it's Rudy. Mid lane is Fox. AD carry, Steelback. Support, Hillesang. And their coach, Sheep.
I feel like we're getting more and more animals inserted into the line. We've got Fox now, and then Sheepy.
Well, and there's bees for Vitality as well. I noticed that like coming into week 1 and then forgot about it, and then I think they played against may even have been in this game where it was like mythical animal versus annoying insect. But you know,
I feel like we may have gone on a tangent here, Stress. But to talk about just this matchup in general, they were talking about on the analyst desk versus the macro strategy, etc., between these two teams, and Unicorns have had such a lot of growth in this split specifically from any other Unicorns of Love lineup we've seen so far in terms of the macro strategy. But you go up against Vitality, who yesterday probably played one of the most intensive games in terms of macro play we've ever seen in this split.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't know. It will be interesting to see how they stack up.
I mean, all of the tweets from like Vitality and H2K were like, "Oh my god, that game was so stressful. Like, I was so tense. 60 minutes. It's been a long time since we've had a 60-minute game happen in Europe that's tense like that. But this one, this is gonna be a different beast because Vitality, they'll try and play like yesterday, but Unicorns, they love to fight. There are going to be more fights in this game than there were in yesterday's between Vitality and H2K.
Definitely will be a different beast, as Unicorns are mythical beasts, but let's get into this champion select. Poppy will be the first ban, followed by Kindred coming in from Vitality. Nidalee taking away one of those top-tier junglers from the champion pool, comes out as that ban from Unicorns of Love.
Interesting that Kindred has been banned. That tells me Shook doesn't really want to play Gragas, if anything. So Gragas, Kindred's interactions are fairly, once the game is past the first few levels, becomes fairly Gragas favored as soon as you both got your ultimates, because Gragas ult hard counters Kindred ult. You just blast her out of the circle and oh, she's dead.
Yep.
So it's a bit surprising that you'd see the Kindred ban, but then again, I guess we take away what Rudy has to offer. He had played one game, 5-0-2 on that Kindred.
Actually, Kindred is one of the most banned champions against Unicorns of Love with 5. So, I mean, it just seems to be kind of a trend.
Yeah.
But also, as we head into this one, yes, the Gragas point is also still valid. The last ban out will be Alistair coming in from the Unicorns of Love, and then Callista was the final one from Vitality. So, the champion pool in terms of AD carries is still up there. Lucian is a potential first pickup. Lulu is actually going to be straight up locked in by Campashot, and Kog'Maw is still on the table.
It is still on the table. Do the Unicorns take it away now? Or let Vitality construct a potential Juggernaut comp? I mean, if you have the Lulu, if you have everything in place. So Juggernaut now is slightly different. Juggernaut used to be very movement-based and how you continue moving forward, always attacking targets. Now as you put all the shields on him, it's not the same comp, to be honest. Same components are going, but he has to just stand still.
Yeah, you try and make Kog'Maw into a Nexus turret. That is your goal. And the double pickup, so there's the AD carry priority going in for Lucian, along with the Thresh coming in for Hillisang. So locking in that bot lane already into this draft from Unicorns and waiting for the response from Vitality. They definitely have the chance to go with that composition, and they, in fact, straight up, they just lock the Kog'Maw.
But I really like this setup. Lucian Thresh on the side of the Unicorn says, we're going to try and find a 2v2, and we're going to try and bully you out early. It is kind of tough because if they pick something along the lines of a Soraka for Kog'Maw, the range that Kog'Maw has plus the sustain from Soraka tends to be okay and you don't get bullied out too hard, but Thresh Lucian will make it difficult for Kog'Maw to farm safely at all times in that lane.
They might be able to punish that phase in the laning phase, because that's what we've not really seen so far from the Kog'Maws that have been played.
Yeah.
You just can't punish him during that time when he's trying to build up the Gwynsues. When those two items aren't that great, Blasting One and Pickaxe are not good itemization paths for an item.
And we were talking this about this before the show, about how we saw Reckless with Cull, and yes, Cull kind of synergizes well with Kog'Maw. You were alluding to the whole on-hit health coming back off Kog'Maw's W, but still, we saw yesterday the Kog'Maw going Cull bullied out fairly early on, and I think the same could happen here if Vitality get drawn into a 2v2 that they do not want. Still have to wait for the support to see exactly what they're looking for, but there is the potential for it.
Well, they're hovering over the potential Zillion, and because mid lane is potentially also up, we could see the old
But then it's
Zillion, and I know it's Kazing, but yeah, he used to play that a lot back in the day. That was a long time ago now, actually. But yeah, back in those I-Series lands, but now waiting for these final two pickups coming in here. As you were just pointing to, yeah, Victor and Gragas back in this draft, so we'll be getting on to Rudy most likely for the jungle.
Yeah, so a fairly standard 1-2 for the mid and the jungle pickup here, but we're still waiting to see exactly how Vitality are going to close out their comp. Do they go for more engage? Because right now they've only got a Lee Sin for engage. Do they go for... Whoa, okay, this is a weird comp. Because Tahm Kench provides protection, but will stop the damage coming from Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
And that is a really weird support pick here. As far as I'm aware, there's no weird interaction where you can swallow him and he still auto-attacks, because it is auto-attacking and you can't do that out of Tahm Kench. So rather than aiming for extra shields, they're going for the Tahm Kench. It'll give them a little bit more presence on the map, because the ultimate, they have the Quinn to split push as well. So this is a comp that isn't only focused around Kog'Maw once again.
So the reason I think the Tahm Kench is good is because you have downtime before getting your maximum DPS off with your W.
Yeah.
It's up for 6 seconds, down for 7 with no CDR at max rank on W. So you swallow him during that time when he's not dishing out the damage, and you puke him back out again when he can start puking.
Yeah, that's very true. So you can kind of have this situation where it's like whack-a-mole when he's strong, and you
like a boss
negate. Yeah, you negate the weak period there of the Kog'Maw, but that takes a little bit of coordination. It's going to be all on Kian and telling Kasing exactly when he has to utilize it on himself.
Well, the comps have been chosen. Now it's time for the rematch between UOL and Vitality, where both teams have their eyes on the #1 spot.
We know the situation, or like met the situation already several times.
UOL are looking set to go 2-0 over Fnatic.
We know what is the right thing to do. We don't need anyone else to tell us.
I'm fine. I'm fine too. Kill the front line, yeah.
So I guess like Hilly is able to drive the jungler pretty well on the map.
Good job, boys. I did nothing, but Alex is so good, by the way.
I guess that's the reason they're good.
That's the game! 48.5 Unicorns of Love!
We didn't pay attention to the Nashor, and they could sneak one.
And Shook turns into the pit!
That's something we learned from.
Go end, NS5.
And we are on to the rift with Vitality versus Unicorns of Love coming into this one. This will be an incredibly hype matchup, especially with these picks being locked in. So much coordination will be required from both teams to make it happen.
We have had so many good games this week already, just on paper, and yeah, we're spoiled for choice. Instantly into this matchup, I'm having flashbacks to the Unicorns. I believe it was versus Fnatic, the game where they stood their bottom lane under the tower top lane so that they couldn't have been seen. They could lock the 2v2 if it came into a lane swap scenario. Vitality, on the other hand, going into the bottom lane, putting the wards down,
I'm gonna give
trying
them
to
some
spot
stern
out
words.
stern words. But at this point, will Vitality then just kind of instinct lane swap right now? Because they haven't got any vision when it comes to the actual information of where Vitality, or where the Unicorns have their duo lane.
Now, Unicorns have put their own vision down. They've already placed 2 wards and the jungle entrances to their jungle. And Unicorns will probably start on this side of the map. There's a ward over the wall. This is 124, 25, so these are more like greedy wards because you get them down for longer, gives you more information, but then you're in the enemy jungle for longer, so.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm pretty sure this ward is just checking to see whether you're going to see the duo lane run in for like a late start in the laning phase, but you can see Vitality are down in the bottom side jungle anyway. They're starting the blue buff. Man, okay. So this is purely from the fact that they've not seen anybody come in through those wards. They've not seen anybody in lane. What they did was take the small camp, take the small, only one of the sentinels as well. So it's just enough to give them an experience lead as they go into that bottom lane. Nobody up there against them. It does, however, mean Unicorns, they're going to be slightly behind the level game.
Yeah, Rudy's going to be taking this one away there. We can see the keystones. Are we looking at anything out of the ordinary here, Stress? Further a battle for both AD carries. Quinn's going to be picking up the Thunderlord, so nothing really different there.
Whoa, hang on. Whoa, hang on. We had the swaps in Champ Select. I was expecting Quinn to go top. Cabochard is on Lulu top. Because we didn't get the Twitter graphic because we had a video, I just kind of didn't see where it settled at
By
the
the way,
end of it.
Quinn's mid.
So, Quinn is mid lane. We have seen Quinn in the mid lane. We've seen Faker do it. Nuke Duck is going to be bringing it to the dance this time, utilizing Ignite as well for extra kill pressure. You can see that's forced Fox to take that exhaust. Of course, both of these teams at 20 seconds left in the draft did have the knowledge of where everything was going, so you can set up your summoners in kind, but it's just very different. This time, Cabochard isn't going to be a carry for Vitality. He's just playing the utility in the top lane.
That's so interesting, because we've seen Nuke Duck on Lulu before be the facilitator, but yeah, swapping roles up here. And now that we have the lane swap, we're not going to see those interactions as much between Lulu and the Malphite, which is probably going to be a pretty good matchup for Lulu in the one-on-one. But now Unicorns are going to take up this top tower. Chachi has the perfect timing. As this minion dies, he's going to give it a slap, and it goes down. Claps that tower to death. Bot lane will just do the same. So generally from these types of teams, you don't see the missteps that we see from some teams when it comes to pushing those towers, because even though phase 1 of the lane swap is very simple, you stack the wave, you kill the turret, you give the tower gold to your top laner, we often see teams mess up and then they can't kill the tower in the first back. Fox finds the blinding assault from Nuke Duck, who will follow up with the perfect combo, who will get both vulnerable attacks off onto Fox for the maximum amount of damage.
Kind of annoying as well when you're playing as Victor. If you don't get the Q auto off before the blind sets in, you don't get that empowered Siphon power auto that hits. It is an instant cast, so as long as you get the Q on and set up, the auto attack animation beforehand. It will follow through even regardless of the blind. It's just depending on the timing there. So will be an annoying interaction for Fox, but one he should very quickly figure out if he doesn't already have it in his arsenal already. Quinn mid isn't that much of a surprising pick. Probably has played this matchup a couple of times in solo queue, but it certainly isn't the likes of like of Victor versus Oriana, where every mid laner's played this matchup a million times. Like
definitely a little bit different, and that's the cool thing is when you see not necessarily pocket picks, but different picks that are in the meta in different lanes, because you just don't know the matchup, and the guy who's playing it definitely does.
And we even saw that yesterday. The analysts were talking about it, how Vitality picked the double bomb Bard comp yesterday with the Zillion, and then just didn't know the interaction of Lantern. None of us knew the interaction of Lantern. I was looking at it like, that's a weird interaction. I didn't think that was actually possible, but the way it works out, even Vitality getting a little bit surprised by that. But this time we're into phase 2 of the lane swap. Means Towers 2 are looking at getting pushed. Pretty hands-off game so far from both of these teams.
Standard lane swap,
Yep.
so this is what we expect from the early game. I'm looking towards the mid and late game though. I really want to see the interaction between Cogball and Tam, because you really do want to eat him when he's already used his W and it's on cooldown. We actually saw, I believe it was Forgiven go for Lucidity boots yesterday to try and increase the uptime that his W is on, because the way it works is once you've used it, then goes on cooldown, rather than when you activate it, it goes on cooldown, meaning there's always a gap between when you can have your W, instead of having it on all the time like Kale's E, for example, or Kale's W.
Yeah, also helps him with that flash timing. I don't know whether Lucidity is going to become the standard. I feel like it's the value of it is very what's the word? Spread out. It's not consistent value, right? Is that you get the value from it after you've used the flash when it comes to the summoner cooldown specifically, whereas for boots like Swiftness or Berserker's Greaves that we have seen other Cogmores building, it's more consistent value for the entire game. As long as the rest of the team's protecting you, you should be okay. It's kind of player choice though. It depends on exactly what you're looking for. Neither is a particularly bad setup.
For sure, and you'll see pretty much every Cogmore also go for Fervor of Battle, just because of the amount of auto attacks you get on, and it's an on-hit effect, so you just do ridiculous amounts of damage, and you stack it up incredibly quickly, so it definitely makes sense. Also, Cogmore's one of the AD carries who can go for early Berserkers and not feel the hurt of it, because most AD carries don't, they go for like the big AD items.
Something I'm liking seeing already from both teams, the number of pink wards that are not only on the map, but in the inventory when it comes to the Unicorns. Unicorns have 2 in fairly good positions right now, one on the red buff, one in the middle of river. So at this point, those wards are fairly vulnerable, but this early on, the fact they have 4 in their inventory is whoever owned those pink wards can just replace them as they're dying. So either you get it before it dies or just after. It just means you always have that creeping line of vision control, and you can always establish more areas. Vitality on the other side have got one in the exact warding spot that Officio talked about earlier, in the top side jungle by red buff. We'll see whether that gets cleaned out in this game.
Yeah, and just the fact that you can also deny the gold. It's only 30 gold per ward, but every little counts, as Tesco has taught me. That's something only people from the UK will understand. Hylissang going just into this range to get that vision down, but they're going to see that the dragon is taken. Also because of the global announcement, that helps. Nuke Duck in the middle lane. He's still ahead of Fox in terms of farm and has this minion wave coming in. So he's about 1 to 2 waves ahead of him.
And you can see the flow of vision control here. The wards topside in the blue buff around the Unicorns that they've got established now is allowing Hylissang to walk over Nuke Duck's pink ward that was by mid lane, clear it out. Completely safe to do it. Because not only are his team around there, he knows there's no chance of the rest of Vitality grouping on him, and it transitions now into a Rift Herald. Vitality got the Dragon, Unicorns make a very similar play a minute or so later, get themselves the Rift Herald. This is a very tactical back and forth game, once again based on vision.
Now that this Herald has been taken, there's a lot of members from Vitality maybe there to punish, but everyone has dashes, so they're just going to get away from that one. But it was very interesting because Krepler was saying at the start of the day, you know, watching the game yesterday with Vitality and HGK, it was like a game of chess. And then when you look at Unicorns of Love and G2 are also at the top of the table, tied with them, maybe a game of checkers. You know, there's not as much tactical play, but in this one, Unicorns have been matching Vitality blow for blow in terms of the strategic gameplay. We just have to see and track throughout the rest of the game whether that holds up.
Good from Hylissang as well. Knows that he's got nothing else to do now before he looks to go top, so may as well check that bush. You may get the return from that. You know, maybe there's no pink ward in that. Just the extra couple of seconds allows them to remove that control, allows them to come up to the top lane. Now evens up the numbers 3-3, and they're not 100% sure that Rudy is there. The last time they saw him was on the red buff, so you can assume and infer that he is top lane, but it's not concrete information.
That's also what Official was talking about this morning, because the way you path from camp to camp and you just walk there, you have to make a conscious choice to check the bush. Otherwise, you'll never see it, and that ward pays off so much. But this time, Hillside maybe watching the segment being like, I'm gonna check this now, and we'll find that.
I would hope Hillisang would check that anyway.
These pros do know.
I would hope he knows that what he's
That's a good point.
That's a really good place. So yeah, you should better check that. Nevertheless, this has been a slow start to this game. A little slower than we were expecting, but this is something that Vitality have kind of built for themselves, almost as a play style, just through and through, is this slow-tempered early game that moves into, you know, pick and choosing their fights. And we saw that against H2K yesterday, is very few times did Vitality get baited into a fight they didn't want. There was the one in mid lane where Ryu managed to get the flank, and it kind of was a back and forth fight, but Vitality weren't really out of position and engaged on too well. They are going up against a Malphite with teleport, so they have to be aware of flank opportunities for the Unicorns. But Vitality have done a good job about clearing out the wards behind them so far. We're only 10 minutes in. Those kind of ganks become effective a little bit later in the game.
It's interesting you talk about how slow this early game has been, but Unicorns and Vitality have the two slowest game times other than H2K in the entire league. So when both these two teams come together, then you get a slow game, in the early game at least. But as we saw yesterday, it definitely heats up around mid-game and late game when you have all the tools available to you to make those plays. So it's not going to stay like this for the rest of the game, that's for certain. It's just these teams getting into the right place, and when someone makes a slip-up and a misplay, then you can act on it, and it's down to the other team to make the reactive play on that.
It does lead to a very tense situation, though.
It does,
There's always this yeah.
The calm before the storm,
Exactly.
etc.
Meanwhile, top lane, you can see Ninja Tabi picked up for Vizichachi. Not something we actually see too much these days. Tends to be the other boot, the boot upgrades tend to be more efficient, but in this situation, he's like, I don't want to Quinn doing too much. The Lulu's going to have auto attack damage in these situations where there won't be one anyway. And of course, there's a Cogmore. It's only going to stem a little bit of that bleeding from the Cogmore, but obviously the more efficient, I'm doing air quotes, you can't see it, boot chances, boot upgrades like Lucidity and Swiftness were nerfed a bit when it comes to their actual cost on the last patch, so it's not too much of a hindrance, just something we don't always see. Yeah,
not too bad at all. Top lane is just kind of similar in terms of farm. Of course, we had the lane swap up, slight advantage in the bottom lane, nothing to write home about. Mid lane is even, but maybe not for long. Chachi over the wall, first blood in for Fox, and Kasing not able to get there in time with the Devour to save him. First blood over to the Unicorns.
And that's Fox just baiting out Nukeduck in that situation. He knows Nukeduck, we've seen it a few times already, opens with the Vault just to try and trade damage on Fox because it has that momentary interrupt. And it was just a bait that Vizichachi was over the wall, in comes the Unstoppable Force, they pick up the kill. First kill of the game, realistically one that probably shouldn't have gone over, but Nukeduck gets baited into the fight, Unicorns take advantage.
Just to follow up on the Ninja Tabi point, it's an okay pickup against Cogmore, but it doesn't reduce the damage from on-hit effects. No. It reduces against attack modifiers. So, for example, like a Kha'Zix with his passive on, that would be a modifier versus on-hit. So, yeah, good against Nukeduck and not being blown up, but just to expand on that one. So, generally don't see it too much, especially into Cogmore, but 1-0 in this game with Unicorns of Love. Definitely have the advantage so far. 1,000 gold plus 2 towers to 2. The first dragon did go over to Vitality, and now Nukeduck has found Rudy on the way out of the jungle. Continues going towards his own side of the map as he has been blinded. And will back away. Nukeduck has been landing a lot of blinding assaults this game, and that is one of the most kind of underrated CCs, because like when you watch it right now in this game, you don't really see the effect because you can see the entire board, right? But when you're there as a player, if you've played against the Quinn, it is so difficult to play against because you just don't have the information.
Yeah, that's very true. It's the same with Graves' smokescreen. We saw it yesterday actually pretty much win Vitality the game. The smokescreen that came out from Cabo onto the Cogmore from Forgiven forced him to move, stop the damage, couldn't auto-attack, won pretty much the fight for Vitality. And again, it's something that's very difficult to convey with the way the spectator works is you don't actually see that effect too much. You do get an indicator circle around, I believe, especially Smokescreen has the animation there as well. But Vitality right now Shook doesn't want to take that onto Hylissang.
No, he does not. He is, both his mind and body telling him no. But,
Yeah.
yeah, you'd have to turn off the entire fog of war. Just imagine you can't see anything.
Oh, Nuke again.
This time, Hylissang, that's a lot of damage. And Shook looking for the execute, but he's actually going to be eaten here by Kasing, who is almost blown up by Fox. Chachi comes in with the teleport onto Nuke, locks him down for the kill. Meanwhile, Cabochard in from the sidelines, takes down Hylissang. Fox trying to dodge away from the living artillery. Kasing,
he got him!
and the lick takes down Fox in the mid lane. Hyonin, maybe call out here, has been buffed up by Cabochard, and Kasing is going to knock him back, but put him in range to deal the damage to Rudy and Steelback. Not quite in range to finish the deal the fatal blow, however, and now they should be able to pick up this middle turret with only Chachi defending.
Oh, you can see Hyonin so desperately wanted to use living artillery, but couldn't get the last one out, didn't have the mana to do it, and it meant that as he was stepping forward, wanted to pick up like 2 kills off that, didn't have enough, but back and forth trade from these two. It looked like Vitality were getting baited in once again as the Unicorns had Chachi teleport into the fight. This was the beginning. So Vitality going aggressive onto Hylissang because the rest of the team is there. But look at how much damage Shook just takes from Fox. Point blank off that Victor damage. Chachi just ignores Shook because he knows he's no more issue in this fight. And from here, it's Vitality reassessing the situation. They know at this point, Fox, all the damage is gone. Steelback isn't quite in the fight. Kasing with a beautiful flash into the queue is able to get the kill. But from there, Vitality know they're in a decent spot, but they have to back away because they can't quite get this last kill.
Yeah, we're seeing the potential of Tam Kencher picking maybe questions in Champion Select just a little versus other choices. I mean, you can't predict he's going to land a flash tongue lash and then be like, hey, value. But no, it's definitely been working with the picks that they have in this game.
Kench.
And Kasing and Hyonin. So now they will pushing up the top tower as well. Shook is even there behind Chachi, who will pop the unstoppable force, but he will be stopped in place as he's taken down by Nuke Duck. Unicorns of Love a little slow there, and Vitality just making these proactive plays and being faster than Unicorns.
Yeah, Vitality utilizing the Tam Kench ultimate. We talked about how that gives them a little bit more presence to cross maps. They have the teleport from Cabochard when it is available. They've got a Quinn that can move very quickly as well, and now you've got a delivery system for Hyonin to bring him to a fight and close that gap very quickly. So we're seeing both teams utilizing globals to punish opponents from being out of position. And this is going to be another tower trade. This time it's outer. No, they're not going to get this at this point. There's not enough AD, or at least not enough pushing power here from the Unicorns to actually rush that one down. That means Vitality do get to defend. So they get top inner, they hold their mid outer as well. So this is a pretty decent spot for Vitality. They're a little bit ahead, but it's the pace that they're now converting. Now they swing down to Dragon, look for their second of the game. And Unicorns have a few options here. They can maybe look for a Rift Herald as a consolation, or somehow go aggressive onto that middle tower and zone Vitality away, but it's a tough ask.
Or none of the above.
Or none of the above. None of the above is the patient, passive option that doesn't win you games.
Well, Vitality, it looked like they were playing that game, but just seeing one small misstep by Unicorns and seeing one small opportunity went from middle tower to top tower to Dragon, now going towards the Rift Herald. They're securing objective after objective. Hyonin does a lot of damage, by the way, sitting on 1.5 items. Also, Lulu with health picks is an insane amount of damage by itself, and with Fervor, you kind of overlook these things because they're outside of items, but you're looking at almost just shy of 1,000 damage at max rank on both of those abilities in terms of damage per second. So you kind of overlook it, but it's a lot of damage.
We're up at 3.8 attack speed once the Grinsu stacks and with that W on from Cogmore. So we're getting there. We're getting to that point where it's like 5 attack speed. Looks ridiculous.
Yep.
But, also the fact that they got the Lulu here for the added damage onto the auto attacks as well is fairly significant. You can't really overlook that. So there is, Hyonin is going to be real strong. The fact that he wasn't put too far behind is a big bonus for Vitality right now. They're ahead in this game. Unicorns have been trying to answer back with a couple of fights, but it's not been enough to shut Hyonin out of the game. And honestly, this is what we were talking about with mix and match, plug and play compositions, is Unicorns haven't played well enough. By well enough, I mean clean enough, because they've been playing a decent game, but they haven't been ahead and closing this game. So Hyonin just is able to get there naturally. Just gets the farm, gets a couple of items.
Rudy's here with the engage onto Cabashot, but Kasing is there to save him with the Devour and throws him back into the fray as the culling is coming across, so he gets a little bit more damage out there. Shook just shy of landing the resonating strike there, so can't get on top of the team. Even if he landed it, I don't think he wanted it. And now Nukeduck in the bottom lane has set up this wave. There's only 3 minions remaining, but there is another one coming in, and Vitality will pick up this tower.
And you can see, look at how fast Vitality can get across the map to get that tower. Unicorns cannot respond fast enough. Shook was looking to go aggressive, may get punished here.
Gets hooked in, Hillisang's there, jumps back to Kasing, and again, Tam Kench there, the savior of the day. Chachi will have to take the lantern, and now Rudy comes in for the engage. Nukeduck's off to the side, but instantly exhausted. His damage will plummet. Now he'll have to back away, and Vitality back down to the bottom side of the map, where Cabashot is trying to defend the middle tower. I don't think that's going to happen today.
No, that was better from the Unicorns. They actually managed to get Chachi into the backline, onto Fox, onto Hyun, and onto Nukeduck, and really disrupt some of that fight. And it was all kind of because Shook got caught out. He was going forward, trying to be aggressive, trying to kick someone back, but didn't quite have the position, and that split Vitality up. Vitality aren't too bad if they're split, as long as like the Lulu and the Tam Kench are next to Hyanan, they should be okay in this game. They do want Nukeduck crossing between lanes very quickly though. He's kind of there as the herald, the precursor to the rest of Vitality arriving. He goes to a lane, then Tam Kench arrives with the rest of the team. And that's kind of how this game has played out so far.
What are those things called? Pilot fish, where they follow the sharks around and you know a shark is coming because the fish are there first. That's kind of what he is right now. It kind of makes thematic sense as well, because he's a frog type thing, catfish. Someone's going to get angry for that one. But in the mid lane, talking about item builds, Nukeduck, he picked the Hex Drinker up last. He picked the Serrated Zerk up first, past his Ghostblade, just another example of Kasing saving people. So he went for the very greedy option that's resulted in 2 deaths on him so far. Now he's going for the more Mortiers and the defensive stats from it.
Yeah, that's what he's gone for. I'm also looking down at Kasing. He's been saving people. He's gone for the boot enchant of Captain, which is very good for saving people as well in this situation, because it's going to give people a movement speed boost when they're running towards the bearer of the Captain enchant. So it means that just trying to escape, if you can get that little bit more movement speed, maybe it allows you to close the distance and get out by Kasing devouring them when they get into range. So maybe we'll see that play into it even more this game. Teleport coming in. It's VIT Chachi that has arrived.
He's got ultimate. Kasing is once again going to save Cabashot, maybe not for long. He's going to be spat back to his teammate. And Hyanan, look at the damage coming out. Fox is trying to shut him down, but Nukeduck is there to punish him. Blinding assault. One more auto attack. There it is. He goes down 2-0 so far for Vitality. Looking for more. Shook goes right into the rest of the team. He's hooked in to Chachi, but they don't have any damage to deal. And Nukeduck will find another kill in this fight. Shook is actually the one to pick it up. 3-4-0. Vitality have control over this game. They're looking towards Baron.
Yeah, they should be able to get this. Rudy's not available for 15 seconds left on the timer. And Cogmore, with his W, is going to shred through this Baron incredibly quickly. And what happened in that fight was the Unicorns going aggressive onto Kasing even after he'd used his Devour, which was going to be on cooldown and not available if they were going onto Hyun. And it is just under 10-second cooldown for it right now, so it's not the longest of timings that it's not available. But here was the teleport play. A couple of options here. You either go for Hyun and try and burst it, or the standard thing against the Tam Kench normally is you go on the Tam Kench, because you have to burst him down first, or his target gets saved. But look at Hyun. He has so much room here, and Kasing only now has Devourer available. Problem is, in comes Shook, in comes Nukeduck into the fight, and Unicorns have no more options but to run. Not sure if that was a misplay. Maybe they could have got damage onto Hyanan because he stood there and just did so much shredding of the Unicorns of Love.
Problem is, no one from Unicorns can get on top of him, other than Fox right there, who just had to walk up, and it's like, I'm in the middle of the entire team, and I'm going to die. And Chachi is usually going to be that answer with the Unstoppable Force, but he used it on Kasing to try and get that pickup. So it's hard, you know, because you have to save that ultimate for Cockball, otherwise he's going to kill you anyway. So Unicorns are in this, like, impossible situation.
And even then, you're flipping a coin.
Right.
Because if you utilize the Unstoppable Force on Hyanan, on the Cogmore, and Devour is available, and the Lulu Ultimate's available, the shield is available, the kick is available from Shook, you're wasting the ult. There is almost no option, really, other than maybe you use it on Nukeduck in mid lane.
You can just get a pick in mid lane.
Chachi says, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and gets the kill for himself. as Vitality are now rooted out in the bottom lane. But they have so few options. They have to somehow find a situation where all of these things are not a factor.
Oh man, I'm actually thinking of, oh, Shook maybe getting caught out here. Nope, kissing. He's out. Hyuna now moving on to Chachi as well, but I think they should be able to disengage. When you were talking about, you know, just clap your hands, I was thinking of Malphite as like a kindergarten teacher. He'd be the worst, by the way. But already going with the Abyssal Void right underneath this tower to defend it.
Is
so
that a kindergarten cop? That is the question.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen either of them in action, really.
Wait, you rag on me for not watching Code Geass and you haven't seen Kindergarten Cop? I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed, Pulse.
There's a lot of disappointment on the desk today. But,
there is. Well, this game so far isn't disappointing on the early game strategy. It's kind of disappointing when we were like, there's going to be a lot of fights. Well, there's been some skirmishes. There have been a few, but no real kind of, you know, insane team fights right now. We've seen Jan have some presence with 2 items now on COG.
It's because we've seen so many punishers, so you don't really get a fight. You get someone who's running away for their lives and trying to, you know, perform damage control, and that's what we've seen for most of this game. Mid lane, you've got the engagers like, oh, this is not going well, run, and then that's the fight.
Well, I mean, from mid lane, it honestly is the only thing that hasn't been going so great for Vitality. When it comes to how they were actually being effective on the map, he's the only one that's died 3 times on Look, Unicorns are the only 3 kills he's got. Devour onto Visit Chachi.
Absolutely repulsive. I don't feel like Rocks would taste very good, but Chachi is out of there.
However, it was only a 500 gold Baron power play.
Oh my.
Which isn't the be-all end-all, just means that Unicorns of Love have cleared the waves fairly effectively, stopped Vitality from actually pushing objectives, and what it means was Unicorns of Love just accrued the 1,000 gold to make up part of that 1,500 that Baron gave, so it's not the biggest problem for Vitality that they didn't extend their lead by too much more.
What's such a funny champion? Look at this. Kiana's just trying to still step forward, just get dragged into the team, but they simply don't have the damage. And finishes them off with the resonating strike. Chachi in from the side. Last deals one on the Kissing, but there's no follow-up there, and that's the ultimate unable to get to the backline. Now Kiana is there with W active, and Chachi is being torn up as he backs underneath this tower. Fox looking for the ultimate. Chunks a couple people down to half health, but half health is not a kill. Nuke Duck off to the side is using behind enemy lines, so he should be able to get into this fight very quickly, looking for a potential punish play. Kiana once again with the W to flash forward aggressively into tower, but it all works out for the double kill coming in for Hyanan, and now Rudy will be under pressure. He'll be taken out by Shook, and this tower will be falling in the middle lane, and just like that, Unicorns of Love are coming apart at the seams. Look at the mechanics! The vault over the wall, that was fantastic to see from Nuke Duck.
Nuke Duck managed to survive there, getting over the wall. The tower did actually kill Hyanan after he flashed forward, so at that point they don't have the massive tower pushing potential, but they have the numbers right now. By Visachachi, he's gone.
Good luck here, Saying. You'll need it, because I don't think you can really defend this 4-man push against this inhibitor. Most likely that's all they're going to get, but now they'll rotate to the top lane and get that inhibitor tower as well. They won't be able to finish the game off this, but this will be a huge body blow for the Unicorns.
Yeah, it didn't matter about the Baron power play. They waited until after it was gone. This thing even goes mine, utilizes the Devour after the tongue lash interaction there. I love that interaction.
It wastes so much mana, though. You can only do it when you're recalling.
As is the interaction of Hyanan blowing up Fox here, because there was the attack speed. Hyanan does die, as you see. I mean, at this point, the fight's all but over. Vitality, they're like, good, we'll give it to our second marksman of Quinn, and she can go in. It's not a problem, but Vitality have honestly been in control for the majority of this game. I mean, Unicorns, the first phase of the lane swap, the second phase seemed to be on par, but then they just kept getting punished. I mean, Unicorns were attempting to punish Vitality for being out of position, but Vitality were just getting too many more objectives. The Dragons, the Rift Herald just started to add up.
Vitality have definitely played this game well in terms of tempo. Another tongue lash interaction, but I would like to alert you to the fact, Stress, we have a Dusk Blade of Drakthar being picked up on Nuke Duck in the mid lane.
Okay, so for those of you who maybe haven't played since 6.3, Dusk Blade of Drakthar is an item that pretty much gives you a mini Z ultimate. It is a passive effect, so it happens on the auto attack, so you don't get to choose directly when to use it. It's going to be the first auto attack every 2 minutes is the cooldown on it. Will apply like a death mark. What it'll do is actually deal after 2 seconds damage equal to about 25% of the target's health plus a base amount. It's 90 plus 25% of the target's missing health. So if you're a champion like Quinn, who, when you're in auto-attack range of a champion, goes in for an all-in, that's when you'll see it utilized, is that auto plus follow-up with the damage is going to pop the target after 2 seconds.
Here comes a potential flank from Duskblade Nuke Duck. He's hanging around in the middle lane. 5-man stack here from Unicorns. The front line on the front line. And steal back. He's actually going back to base. I believe he just picked up an item. Dusk is still coming. Dusk Duck, I like it. Hjarnan, just those auto attacks. He's keeping his Guinsoo stacked up, so he can always deal max amount of damage.
Well, we found out a use for Ardent Blaze. It deals with a ZZ Rock minion coming in on that low health.
Oh, Hjarnan going deep onto Hylissang, and there's a good ultimate from Chachi. This could look very good for the Unicorns as they're chunking down Kasing. He'll be throwing Camatron into the back line. Big ultimate from Fox, but he should be going down. He's still living, and that's the first kill onto Hjarnan. And Vitality will have to turn tail and run, but the Ikapi Enterprise picks him up, and now this is all turning around back onto the Unicorns of Love, who just don't have any damage dealers remaining. Rudy stepping back and forth, but he can't dodge a Devour, and Kasing will pick up that one. A 4-4-1, and while they got the cogboard, they'll lose the game.
That's probably going to be it. Here is Vitality. They have a Quinn available. Nuke Duck can join the team. He's gone onto the fountain.
No, my fancy points experience. But now they're going to go onto this last Nexus turret. Hylissang goes all the way in, but he's just delaying the inevitable. And Vitality will pad their stats real quick as Kasing will make sure that one will happen. There we go. You've got to pick up the kill if you have that chance. The ace comes in for Cabashon, and Vitality pick up the win here against Unicorns of Love in an impressive show of strategic play.
Eventually.
Bam.
You can see, very happy to have won that game for Vitality. A solid weekend for them so far.
We'll probably maybe looking for a closer game as we get through this one. But Unicorns held strong for the first 10-15 minutes when we saw all of the lane swap shenanigans go on, but past that point Vitality saw one opening and then took objective after objective after objective, and that goal differential and the map pressure they created was too big for the Unicorns to come back into the game.
Yeah, eventually Vitality started playing the checkers game as well. Said King Me won at chess and checkers with the speed clock going off, and Vitality just a very crisp game, honestly. They had enough options to protect the Cogmore for the most part. It was only in the late game that Hjarnan was going aggressive, flashing forward when he knew he was strong enough that even if he flashes forward, he's dealt enough damage that Nuke Duck comes in and mops up the fight. He knows that his role in that situation. Unicorns, they really couldn't do too much to disrupt that. I mean, who do you malfight ultimate? Do you go for the Hjarnan? Well, there's a Tahm Kench. Do you go for the Tahm Kench? Cogmore's going to blow you up. There's a Quinn. There's a Lee Sin. There are so many things to at least peel off that backline that Unicorns of Love with this engaged composition with a fair amount of damage from Lucian and Victor just couldn't get the engages they needed.
That's the problem with Cogmore, man. If you don't blow him up at the start of the fight, which is impossible with Lulu Tahm Kench, then you've basically won it already if you are the team with the Cogmore. And we knew that Vitality were drafting a Cogmore composition because they started off with the Lulu. So do you actually think they just got outdrafted in Champions League? Because we saw what was coming and they drafted around it, but should they have just banned out either the Lulu or the Cogmore or the tools to facilitate it?
So funnily enough, it wasn't the Lulu was decent, but it wasn't what kind of undid this. I think I don't know whether I'd say outdrafted, because it's not that Unicorns had a bad composition. I just don't think the composition had enough to deal with the Cogmore specifically.
Does any composition?
Well, that's something that I'm a little bit beginning to see more than I expected. I was expecting to see more Cogmore compositions fall apart in the early game. We haven't seen that. We've seen very standard games, and Cogmore's run wild.
Yeah, he ran wild, and we're going to take a look at more insight into that game as Pyra is on stage to look at Vitality's win.
Thank you very much, Pulse. I'm standing with the AD carry of Vitality. It's Hjarnan. I'm making a habit of this today, it would appear. Congratulations on your win, but I want to go way down to that bot lane where you had that Kench-Kog'Maw combination. It's something I've been hoping to see, and you finally made it true. What made it so strong, in your opinion?
I think we just go for it because it's like really safe lane, against Thresh especially. Like, we would prefer to have Thresh and Tahm Kench, or instead of Tahm Kench, I mean, because it's a bit stronger, but Tahm Kench is a bit like, you can survive. super easy lane, but we went for lane swap and we just matched lanes. Like we just did rotation around each other. So I don't think we fought until like 15 minutes or something like that. So it was really, really like we got scaling with a Lulu and then we just group. And then after that, it's like really, really hard for the enemy to do anything. Because if Lucian tries to trade with me or something, I just get shielded up by Lulu. And the combo is just so strong. So I think Lulu is just really broken right now.
Lulu broken in, of course, that combo as well. Mobile turret definitely very strong. So you guys are separated from the pack. You're in first place now. How are you going to carry that through all the way to playoffs and pick up that #1 seed?
Just take every game as it comes, I guess. Like, just focus on the next game every time and week by week and just keep on trying to improve. I think that's just the main thing.
Well, fantastic week and a fantastic win. Thanks again for joining me. For now, we're going to go and send it back to the analyst desk to take a further look and break that one down.
Thank you very much. Well, Hjarnan broke down a lot of the comp there as well, and we were looking at it and seeing that UOL actually didn't play bad. They even played the team fights very well at some points, but what Vitality has drafted was just unkillable, and they executed perfectly.
I agree, and I want to answer Pulse's question. I think Vitality completely outdrafted UOL. I also think Vitality has some of the most interesting pick and ban phases in the European LCS at the minute. They're playing some oddball team compositions from time to time. Yesterday, the Bard Zillion comp was a great one. That was very exciting. And if you look at the pick and ban for today's game, the number of flex picks, Lulu, Quinn, Tahm Kench, the mind games that are going on there in terms of who's going where. And, you know, that Quinn comes out, you assume that's going to be top lane. You assume Lulu's going to be mid lane. And in the umpteenth hour, Vitality say, nope, they pull a switcheroo, get favorable lanes in every single matchup. And there was nothing that UOL could do about it.
Yeah, in the solo lanes, Vitality are better lanes because of the way they were drafting. Like, as soon as we saw Quinn, we were like, okay, Malphite last pick is going to happen no matter what. Counter pick into Quinn, it did happen. And then again, you swap it into Nuke Duck. So the way Vitality drafted the comp was, first of all, you have good mixed damage because you get physical damage from the Quinn in this case here. At the same time, you have strong solo laners, but you have a somewhat weak 2v2 early lane against a Thresh Lucian at least. But that's where the lane swap happened. And it's just tower trade, lane swap, but then you open up the map for Quinn. You have your Lulu then always just catching the wave, and then you just have this 2v2 safe lane now, where Tahm Kench can always just save his ally on a long lane and just run away with it, and you just survive for basically 15 minutes. And then you start team fighting, and it's almost impossible then for Unicorns to win.
And it's another game where we're seeing a lane swap tower trade with a team that has Kog'Maw. Why are we still seeing this? If a team that has Kog'Maw, we know that he wants to get through the laning phase, we know he wants to get some items, and they're just being allowed to get Rageblade almost uncontested, I think the third time this week already. It's a question that I think the teams have to figure out an answer to if Kog'Maw stays as relevant.
It's just one of the problems when you're so used to always trade and just mirror. So like, okay, you know, we take the first tower, they take the first tower, now we swap it around, we take another tower. You have to adjust then on the fly, and then say, no, we send our dual lane back to the lane where we just took the tower to take the 2v2 lane. That's one of the ways you can slow it down, but you still end up losing a little bit because you're returning to a lane where you can't push anything. That's obviously one of the issues, but it's just such a smart composition because you also got early game. Lee Sin gets locked in for Shook, so he has control of the early game together with Nuke Duck, and you just had everything in this comp, in my opinion.
Yeah, did have everything. However, UOL did do some moves in the early game. It wasn't all lost, but then one of the team fights that look at it and look at that composition in action at one of the replays, they were just unkillable.
They really were. And keep your eyes on Kasing and his Tahm Kench, because this is the guy that needs to get a cookie tonight. The number of times he saved his teammates. First of all, mitigating the unstoppable force there from Vizichachi's Malphite. And remember that no matter who gets caught out, the single target CC that can come down from the rest of your well will just allow Kasing, if he's positioning correctly, to save somebody. Hjarnan, in this particular team fight, was allowed to sit and auto-attack for 3-4 seconds as a mobile turret, just standing, placing himself down, because there was no threat. All of the engage from UOL had been used on the support and the top laner, and they're not even the real threats.
I think Unicorns missed the timing just a little bit on when Tahm Kench would spit out Lulu, because they were planning on getting both with it, so there's no ulti from Lulu, because you can use CC and knock her up and then like burst down the Tahm Kench potentially. Missed it a little bit, and that obviously means you just get the Tahm Kench who gets the Lulu ulti, who gets the Grey health and everything, and then the fight is over. But like Tahm Kench, he's such a good pick now as well. Like, Lulu is broken because whenever you first pick Lulu, you kind of tell the other team, if you don't, you know, do anything about this, we're going to get Joggermore.
Tahm Kench is more annoying, though,
but then
because they knew it was going to happen. They see Lulu first pick, they don't pick up Kog'Maw, they get Kog'Maw, and they get Tahm Kench, like, okay.
And then Hjarnan is just going to sit and hit, you know, everything. And he never has to move, because if he ever is at a threat of dying, Kasing just eats him. and like walks away with him. Like he sees mobility, he sees legs basically just moving around, and he just sits there and shoots.
Kudos to Sean's, kudos to Vitality
The
for
kissing
drafting the
effect
card that wins
is
the
real.
game. And the kissing effect that is still real. Now, with the score between the UOL and Vitality settled for now, it's time for 2 more heavy hitters to get onto the Rift. We'll dive into the matchup between Origin and H2K when we return.
Say it in Swedish.
You shall not pass? Yeah. When you say stuff directly translated to Swedish from English, it sounds really weird sometimes.
You shall not pass in Norwegian.
Huh?
Du skal ikke passere.
Shot in from the sidelines, takes down Hillaside. Fox trying to dodge away from the living artillery. And the lick.
Victor!
Nice. I'm burning. Yeah, burn. Go. I can't. I busted. Yeah, he said. Nice.
Go Nash. Looking for a potential punish play. Yarden once again with the W, the flash forward aggressively into tower, but it all works out for the double kill coming in from Yarden. And Vitality pick up the win here against Unicorns of Love.